Hello and welcome. This is Sandra Hart at Life Over 60, and we're going to start 2020 off this year with journaling. So stick around. Why so fast? What's the hurry? Only yesterday I was melting snowflakes on my tongue. Only yesterday I was in love. Only yesterday you were a tiny heartbeat. Only yesterday. And thus time goes by. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And before we get started in talking about journaling, I want you to get a piece of paper or put in the front of your journal because I have a few questions that I want to ask you, and I want you to answer them for yourself. Where do you picture yourself 10 years from now? Or 5 years from now? Let's make it 5 years. Where do you picture yourself 5 years from now? Are you where you thought you would be right now? Or do you feel that you're living the life that you never even asked for? Do you feel that life somehow has shortchanged you and you are nowhere where you thought you would be 5 years ago looking at today? Do you feel that you right now are stuck with a life that you never asked for? Now, I want you to answer that question. It's really important. Are you happy with where you are right now? So jot down your answer. What have you learned in the past 5 years? And that's both the good and the bad. What lessons have you learned and you're not going to repeat 5 years, 5 years, today, this year, and the next few years? What are you not going to repeat? Because we all have habits, good habits, bad habits, and sometimes we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. So looking back in the past 5 years, what mistakes have you made that you're not going to repeat? And what are the good things that you think are going to carry on and you want to carry on for the next 5 years? And the third thing I want to ask you is what beliefs that you've been hanging on for the past 5 years, whether it's resentment, thinking you're too old or too young, whether somebody else has done it and you won't be able to do it, but what beliefs and what dreams do you have, and it gets carried on through this year, that you really have lost interest in and you really don't think that you even want to do it? Are there any of your dreams or ambitions that you just, I'm done with that, I don't think I want to do that you're holding on to? If there is something that you're holding on to that you definitely are not interested in anymore, and it's just taking up mental space in your head, get out that mental shredder and shred all of those thoughts, all of those things that you're really not interested in anymore, and make space in your brain for new ideas. Okay, now let's get into journaling. There are different kinds of journals you can do. Today we're going to be talking about a 5-year journal, but you can have a creative journal, a weight loss journal, a gratitude journal, a bullet journal. Those are all the types of journals that you can have. But today, as I said, it's going to be a 5-year journal, and this is my 5-year journal right here. And in the 5-year journal, you have maybe about 6 lines that every day you can write your thoughts, something about your life. And if you want to be a little bit creative, you can do like I do. I just put a little something here, a little creative drawing here in the corner just to express myself. But it depends upon what your journey is. If you want a weight loss journal or a creative journal, you can do that, and we'll talk about that in another video. But this video is just going to be about our journal and in growth and change. So you do have to start out with a good mindset that you're going to be doing this every day, and that you really want to change, and that you really are excited about it. So you have to have all of those energies going to let the flow of change come into your life. So if you feel like that you are stuck somewhere in your life, this is a good way to unstick yourself. Now, the first thing you have to do is, when you start writing, is to let go of any judgment. You know, maybe you don't write as well as you used to do, or maybe you're trying to find the words that it's necessary. Well, it doesn't matter. The more you do it, the better you will get. But don't judge yourself. Just completely write your thoughts down. Whatever is going through your head that you did to that day, your feelings, your thoughts, what you did, how you want to maybe think about what you're going to do tomorrow. But just those thoughts. No judgment whatsoever, and also be very vulnerable. And by that I mean you have to be honest. You have to be willing to be raw and get all of those feelings out there, whether it's you've been upset during the day, or angry, or very, very happy, or excited and looking forward to something. You have to be honest. Whatever has happened during that day, be really, really honest. The third thing is, some days or some nights I keep mine next to my bed at night, which is a good thing to do, because at the end of the day you can just write down, your feelings and what happened. But there are some days when you're going to be blank. And I don't know why it happens, but that happens to me too. When you sit down at night and you start to write and you think, what am I going to write? What am I going to write? Well, don't sit there and stress, because we do have those blank moments at night. And you know what I do? I just write down, thank you, thank you, thank you, or gratitude, 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 or I write down the names of all my children and my grandchildren. I just put something in there, because if you stop journaling every night, then maybe the next night you'll forget and you won't do it. So it has to be something very consistent. So something has to be in that space every single night if you want this to work for you. So don't worry about having those days, nights when you sit down before you go to bed and you start to write something and you really can't think of something. And do you know what I do sometimes? I just, make up a little poem in my head, and I'll sit down and I'll write a poem. But by doing that, it gets my creativity and my juices flowing and my thoughts flowing, and I kind of unload whatever has been going on with me during the day. So, all you need to do when you do a 5-year journal is just a few lines. Just a few lines about your feelings, your emotions, what's bothering you, what's making you happy. It's just a conversation between you and yourself. Nobody else is going to see this unless you want them to. So it has to be honest and a true conversation. And the more you do it, the more you practice writing this, the more it will become very natural for you, and you'll look forward to it every night. At the end of your day is more or less a ritual, sitting down and sharing with yourself your feelings. And one thing great about the 5-year journal is that at the end of the year, of course, you have to go right back to the beginning. Right here, you have to go right back to the beginning. So, I have 5 years here. So next year, 2021, you can read where you were this year at this time. Or it'd be last year at this time. You can read, and you can see whether or not you've made progress, whether or not your life is getting better because you've been able to unload your thoughts and you've been able to understand the direction that you want to go. I know it sounds so simple. How can just writing things down on a piece of paper? But you will be surprised that when you unload all of your feelings or express all of your feelings, depends upon how you're feeling, you will find that your whole life will open up and you will be able to get out of that stuck situation and you will be able to start on a journey that really is exciting, a journey that maybe you've been waiting to take for a long time but just didn't know how. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you, when you do journaling, this is my day-to-day journal that I have here. I do this day-to-day, and I also have one that is a creative journal. And for my creative journal, I have bought these pens. They're like markers. They're little gel markers, and that's what I do my little doodles in on my 5-year journal or in my creative journal, and I just draw and I create in that journal. But we can talk about other types of journaling later on. But for a start, I would suggest that you do a 5-year journal, because then you can get in with the excitement of creating and writing down your thoughts. And then if you want to expand that to a weight loss journal or to a bullet journal, and a bullet journal is where you tick off all of your chores that you want to get done the next day, all of the goals that you want to get done. And that's also very good. And also the creative journal can be very beautiful. If you're an artist and you love to create things, you can have a creative journal. But please start out with a 5-year journal, because it will allow you to get into the habit of writing out your feelings and understanding what journey you want to be on. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope all of us have a great 2020, and I call them the Roaring 20s. My mother, grew up in the 1920s, and as her daughter, I'm going to really roar into the 2020s with gusto. So please join me. Do something wonderful for yourself today. Don't forget to be kind to whomever crosses your path, and of course to share the love, because when you share your love, you blossom, and the person that receives that love also blossoms. Take care. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for coming along with me today.